Yo, what's good, minasan, konnichiwa. For the last month, I've been taking Japanese a lot more seriously than I was before. Even a lot more seriously than I was with other languages, even when I was motivated to do those languages then. I mean, not only have I improved my proficiency skills in the last month and etc, the typical tick boxes that you'd expect, but it actually built me as a person. It's actually, I kind of feel as if I've been going through like a character building exercise. I've been waking up around 7 o'clock or just before sunrise, just to get that additional hour or so in of Glossika. And again, it's been paying dividends in terms of language proficiency, but most importantly, and the thing I want to talk about today, discipline. More specifically, discipline and effort, and the way in which I conceptualize effort has changed. So it's improved my discipline with regards to making time for Glossika. For example, doing new cards in the morning and then reviewing them later on at night. To also how I actually engage with the sentences. So for example, when I come across new sentences, I'm more engaged. I make more little consequential sentences as a result. I try to mine it, sentence mine it a lot more. I just try to make something or create something of a little situation while I'm listening to the card that I wasn't doing before, or I was doing but not to the same intensity. And it's kind of realized that the effort I was putting in before was just simply a function of time. I mean, yeah, I was going through the system of sentence mining, but the intensity level is different. And I was trying to think, how can I explain the difference between the intensity that or I should say, the kind of effort that I'm doing now compared to last month or previous months. And the only thing I can think of is an analogy with boxing. So there was a fight between Jeff Horn and Terence Crawford, and Terence Crawford is #1 pound for pound fighter in the world, and Jeff Horn comes into the fight, hands up, running in and trying to throw punches. It's almost, he's playing the whole puncher's chance kind of game. And when you see him fight, you can clearly tell that, I mean, there is a gulf in class, there's a difference, but his whole game plan is, as long as I'm in this fight and I'm grinding it out, I'm taking punches in the face, I'm winning in some way, shape or form. And I know the analogy doesn't necessarily transition 100% over with me and Glossika, but the way I was doing it was, as long as I was doing cards, I kind of felt as if I was winning in some way, shape or form. And that's not necessarily the case. I mean, yeah, it's good, it's almost like I wasn't doing press-ups correctly, in a sense. Or maybe I was doing press-ups correctly, but now I've got to the point where I can do, clap press-ups, or I can do some next mad crazy press-ups. So I don't know what it is, but the whole point is that I've noticed that there's more that I can give that I wasn't given before. And comparing it to another boxing match now with how I'm performing, I would probably say something like Andy Joshua against Kubrat Pulev recently, where he was in the game the whole time. He was jab, 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 and when the time came to like fully engage with what he was doing as opposed to just automatically jabbing, he switched up to the Mike Tyson style. He was adjusting, he was making adjustments in the fight. In the same way how I'm coming across new cards and I'm in the moment, I'm more present as I was before, unlike before. And yeah, I mean, again, they don't perfectly transition in terms of analogies, but there is definitely, like, I was taking punches in the face and thought I was winning in some way, shape or form, to now, with every single sentence, it feels like a perfectly clean jab. So, well, not perfectly, so today wasn't even the greatest day when it came to reviewing cards, but it's more cleaner, man. It's definitely cleaner. It's definitely harder and it's more cerebral, but it's worth it. I mean, it's worth it, both in terms of, again, language proficiency and that character building, that grind. And as a result of that, I've had to improve my organizational skills, something that I'm still rubbish at. Because I wanted to review cards later on and learn cards in the morning and review them later on, I had to time it. And that made me think, okay, if I do X amount in the morning and I do this in the afternoon and I do a little bit more in the evening, I've had to think critically about how much time I spend on this stuff. And in doing so, I've just kind of made me realize that, okay, it's actually taken a lot of my day, and it's made me realize that I can't do 101 things that I want to do. That sounds limiting, to know that, okay, like a large chunk of your day is just taken up by this one thing called Glossika, and so it might seem defeatist, it might seem like your bandwidth is small, but the reality is you can flip on its head and say, this is your bandwidth, and given this bandwidth, you can push yourself to this limit. And I don't know, I kind of feel like that's kind of empowering, to know that you can achieve greatness, or at least try to achieve greatness within this limit. And again, you're always pushing that limit. And you're always trying, you might be surprised to say, actually, no, I can do more. And one thing I've realized is, with my actual work job, I've managed to find like an extra hour before work to also do. I've actually managed to find out like, okay, I have the bandwidth to do something during lunchtime for, you know, for fitness related stuff. It's kind of made me realize that, you know, ironically, with this limited bandwidth that I have, that I can actually do quite a few things. And so the irony of, you know, realizing my limited bandwidth and what I can do without getting overwhelmed is I've actually done more cards in this month, you know, in the space of a month than I have ever before.
To this day!
Again, I have to stress, it's not about being obsessive productive all the time. Like, you know, you don't have to be this Renaissance man that learns everything, yeah? Like, bro, you say Renaissance man, but to be honest with you, nowadays, yeah, bro, you can be any mediocre American, sing, dance and act, yeah? If you got a good looking face, then, you know, you're a Renaissance man, innit? Bro, man like Abdul, yeah, and his Kufi, yeah, can be trying to solve cancer, learn piano at grade 8, yeah, and I don't know, like run for mayor at the same time, yeah, and he's just any bro in it, and no one gives him ratings, but bruv, this sing, dance and that, bruv, it's mad out here, bruv. So in terms of new cards, I've done 6,000 cards, and the limit for Japanese is 6,800 cards, so I'm around 88% there, and again, it's just made me appreciate the idea of seeing things through to the end. Something I didn't appreciate when I was younger, or at least I didn't appreciate as much as before. Again, just in the space of a month, I went from that guy who would, you know, watch somebody run an 800-meter race and then put his hamstring 600 meters into it, and he'd be limping, and he'd be like, no, I want to finish this race. And then he'd be limping to the finish line, and I'm there as a spectator like, bruv, you lost, bruv. Just get off, fam. Get off. Bruv, if it was me, yeah, I will train hard, but as soon as I see that I'm not winning, just off the track, innit, you get me? But now I see it, you know, I see the idea, I see the finish line, and it's like, I want to see it entirely through. And, you know, specifically in the language context, I've done textbooks halfway. I've done textbooks, sometimes even a quarter way or 75% there, and just to stop short of seeing things through. And again, like this is kind of seeped through into other parts of my life, and it's not just languages. And so, for example, I set myself the challenge of, you know, running 5k again under 20 minutes, and you know, despite the fact that I've had a foot injury and had an issue with my trainers, and I still want to see through that goal. You know, despite the fact that I was making gains, and you can tell that my time was getting better and better and better, and I've had this setback. Part of you makes you want to say, is that really a goal that's attainable? Or like, it is attainable, but, you know, is it worth deviating from it because, you know, you hurt your foot, you know, circumstances have dictated otherwise? Nah, see the goal through. So yeah, man, I'm not laughing at anyone limping off a track, man. Bro, my foot's messed up, man. I'm limping now. And so then comes the crux of the issue in terms of my language journey. With this improving, with my improvements of language proficiency, with me, you know, speaking with a Japanese language partner the other day, seeing improvements, watching Naruto, he was dead. Naruto was dead, bro. But, you know, understanding quite a lot of it, you know, not 50%, but definitely a lot. And then seeing that there is a slight diminishing returns, well, diminishing rate of return, I should say, with each reviewed card in Glossika. Is it worth me being honest with myself, stopping, and then doing Genki, despite the fact that the finish line is right there? And I've come to the conclusion that it's actually worth just finishing it through. You know, just for the sake, learn how to see through things fully before you start being tactical about things. You know, until I can, you know, say to myself or prove to myself that I can see things through fully. But that's basically going to take me to 100,000 reps, 200 plus, almost 300 hours on Glossika. In raw hours, it's probably a lot more. No, it is a lot more. It's worth, or proving to myself, I should say, to finish this stuff first before I can start moving on to stuff. Until that point where I've trained myself to see through things fully, I'm going to treat that voice that says, you know what, you know, stop and deviate from your point, as any just trivial voice, even if it has legitimacy behind it. For me now, it's just like a geezer, wheeler, dealer, mate, I know a shortcut, just take a right, take a left there, and bam, you're here. Bro,
Your name is a wheeler and dealer. There's not been much wheeling and dealing,
I'm not a wheeler and dealer.
No.
Just ignore that voice, innit? You know, I know it's random, but one thing that has definitely changed in the space of a month is I procrastinate way less now. And I don't mean it to say you need to be productive every single day, every single minute. Nah, man, that's that whack talk here. But I used to watch video, bro, fam, blood. I used to watch videos, yeah, that didn't just waste my time. They used to get me vexed. I didn't know how much of a political junkie I was until a few days ago. bro, I swing left, yeah. Economic issues, yeah. So when I used to see headlines like, rich man punches and kicks poor man in the nuts, yeah. And then takes his girl, yeah. Like, I used to watch headlines like that, or anything similar to it, yeah. I know, not literal, innit, yeah, you get me? And I used to get vexed. And you get these guys in the comment section like, oh, well, what did he do for him to take his girl? You know, all them dumb bros, yeah. That used to get me vexed, yeah. Or like, stimulus check, you know, seeing it get rejected, and that stuff used to get me annoyed. I used to get vexed. I used to get on the FIFA level vexed. You know, playing FIFA, losing a game, yeah, even though you won 10 in a row. That kind of vex, yeah, bro. I used to get vexed. It's weird. Just in the space of a month, I don't really feel as invested. I just don't. So yeah, man, I'm gonna see this through to the end, and I'm excited. You know, with every single car that I do, it's not just me trying to get it over and done with, but it's I don't know. It feels almost spiritual. You know, coming closer and closer to the finish line. It kind of reminds you of those times where, you know, you're running and you look at your Strava app, you're trying to approach 5k and you realize you're on 4k and you just up the ante, you just running, and you know, you see the finish lines there at 5k, and it's just, but man, I can't explain it. It's hard, isn't it? So yeah, man, I ain't got nothing else to say other than arigatou gozaimashita.